All right, good morning, traders. Welcome to the All Markets webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. We'll be going through live order flow analysis. All right, good morning, traders. It's forward-looking, and we'll look for opportunities in the market if they present. The reason that we can do this is, order flow can show that edge, and it's the behavior in the auction process, so we can read, we can start to understand. This is how people participate in the markets, is with their orders. And that's why order flow is important. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And we have a new onboarding webinar on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. East Coast time. If you're interested in that, I can get the link for you. It is in Zoom. It's also on YouTube and in our Discord channel. The whole purpose of the onboarding webinar is to answer your questions, get you up and running with Bookmap, installing it and adding it a symbol and getting you connected to data. Right, so just get you up and running. That is the goal. And any questions that you have on using the platform as well. Okay. All right, let's jump in. Let's take a look at the markets here. We're looking at the S&P E-mini, you can see the 9:30 cash open, the move to the downside, hit into high liquidity down here, and then the buyers coming in. All right, so back to the highs of the overnight session here, that at least that I have. Let's take a look at the Bookmap data in here. Yeah, so these are highs of the day, we can see this is a higher time frame version of Bookmap that you will have access to pretty soon, just not yet. It's an alpha version, so it's in testing basically. So yeah, you can see the high here from back on February 7th. All right, so on Friday, the move up, and then the nice move down. This is a really trappy environment in here, probably a lot of people getting hurt on the way down. You can see where we went though, down here into where buyers were before. Okay, see the big green dot here? That's where we ended up down here at the close, and we're finding more buyers in here now. Okay, so originally, as you can see, well, we had a little back and forth in here, it looks like, but at the open, you see the buyers coming in, and it's been mostly buyers moving price back up. So people are buying the dips in here. The funny thing that I keep finding again and again, now we just had Charles in Volume Profile Trader presenting earlier today. He's just finished up. So is the profile up in these areas up in here? We're just not finding buyers. Like they're willing to buy the dips, but they're not willing to buy higher highs. We can see we're making these kind of consistent lower highs in here, and a slightly lower low in here. So in the bigger picture in here, is this kind of a flag pattern in here, or is this like kind of rolling over? And that's to be determined. Maybe today it would be determined, because as you can see right now, we're starting to find those buyers. They're starting to lift the market higher. All right, so that's what we need to see, but we need to see it up at the highs, we have not been seeing that. So let's just go over to our candlestick chart. Here is a daily chart here on the left side, hourly in the middle, and the 15-minute on the right side. All right, so looking at the daily in here, this is what I mean. Well, this is a nice move up here, you can see the this was a FOMC back on December 18th. And we did breach those highs, but it failed and it came back in, and it's tested here again, and it's tested here again. and we're just not finding the buyers at these higher areas to lift this market. So the hourly shows it the best, in my opinion. You can see these gap ups and then gap down, and it's mostly gap downs. Well, a few in here, but some big ones. And then, are we finding that buying interest up here? Okay, so we've got a long way to go in here. I mean, here's the candle for the hourly right now. And we got to get up quite a bit here, to get to these highs. So that's what, 61.20 up here, and we're at 60.87 right now. So yeah, we've got a ways to go here, and there's going to be some headwinds along the way. So one of them right now, I'm kind of curious to see the swing here on the 15-minute, and then look at some of the swings up in here from back on. I think that was February 6th. Yeah, anyway, so far so good. We're seeing the buying pressure come in. We saw it in Bookmap. We see it in the candles. And then this would be the area I'd be looking for, retesting back up in here. So pretty close to the figure, so around somewhere around 95, 60, 95. And let's see if we can get that continuation move right now. Okay, the line I have on the chart here is VWAP. You can see that people have been buying off of the VWAP here, so that's a good sign as well. All right, that's the VWAP on the 15-minute chart. It's not for the day. Okay, let's see here. Any questions to begin with? Nope. How about over in Discord? Let's take a quick look. Hey, good morning, everybody. All right. Hey, yeah, I mean, so far, let's jump over to our TraderMap Pro version here. Okay. We're going to start going through a little more, I think, exhaustion and absorption, and that's something, Shark, you've been asking about quite a bit, and how pertinent it is to your 1, 2, 3 pattern. So are we finding buyers up in these areas up here? Well, here yes, and then up here no, and then here no. Right, so now you can see this is more like exhaustion in here. You see the sellers come in, and we're just not finding buyers at the higher areas here. So we see the sellers though coming in. Okay, so now our sellers, is this going to be a reversal here? Are we going to come back down into the selling right here, or this liquidity here at 82? It looks very likely. Okay. So let's take a look here. All right, so buyers we're still in an uptrend, and we're still on the buy side here. Okay, but we're seeing this in here, and we're not seeing the interest here. This is like exhaustion. Okay, the technical term for exhaustion is no. For the buyers, at least, there would be no buying by the aggressors up here. It has nothing to do with liquidity. It has everything to do with the aggressors, okay, the market buy and sell orders. If they're not willing to buy at higher areas, that is considered exhaustion, right? So the auction this little double top in here is a good example. Okay, there's some buyers here, there's none here, right? And what we want to see is some selling clusters on the little dip here, and especially in here, the sellers to come in, and they did. Okay, so this is why we get the nice little move here. So we'll be looking for the same. All right, but right now you can see what we're banging around in here. Buyers still in control from this move. We've traded into this liquidity here, and then we see a bounce up. Okay, so the buyers are starting to come back in. So now let's see if we get them here, right? and you can see our answer is just presenting right now. We don't really get them up here. It's again exhaustion. Okay, and do we get a sell cluster? Yeah, we did. Okay, now we have a pullback on the sell side, from the buyers to come up here. So this is where we can consider, right, looking for a potential entry. Now it is kind of counter trend, but we're looking for sellers to come in and take it lower into maybe this 82 liquidity. Okay, so it's kind of back and forth right now. Nothing fantastic, but if sellers come in and then we get exhaustion here and no buyers up in here, we're looking for sellers to take it lower. Okay, so let's see if we can, the bottom edge here, yep, some selling starting to come in. They're breaking the bottom edge on selling. It's not much though, but yeah, I'd like to see the sellers trade into this 82 now. All right, so we can see that it's like I said, it's not a whole lot to kind of hang your hat on here as a setup. There's a bunch of different reasons. It's some confliction in here. First off, it's not the greatest selling in here, and we're in an uptrend. And then secondly, there was, and this is probably most important, is they're starting to bid up here, right? So buyers are showing an interest on the bid. Okay, you can see it in the heat map colors here. See how that it's more white or blue. So they're starting to come in and show some interest here. All right. All right, so we're back up here to the top of this little range now. And are we finding buyers? Again, up here, this is what we want to determine. Okay, so or is this going to turn into range bound, or are we going to break out and then come up into this liquidity up here at 90? Okay, so far it doesn't really look too clear. I mean, we're getting some selling, but it's not a whole lot. Yeah, we're just between two areas of liquidity right in the middle here of the range. And any questions? Good morning, Michael and RJ. All right. All right, guys. Well, you know, something I've been kind of have to say, like it's been a struggle for quite a while, years, is what to show in here during this time in the webinar. And a lot of the stuff that we go over is very low, much lower time frame due to the timing of in the webinar. It's not like a recap. It's not like, you know, higher time frame trades that we see or opportunities. Sometimes we do, but a lot of times it's lower time frame stuff and little scalps in here. I would love to you know go more on the higher time frame. It's just we don't have the, you know, we'd sit around and wait. So anyway, I'm trying to get at here is the point that you know, we may take some trades or you know, show some trade management in here, and it's only for demo purposes, but it is kind of more like scalping because and then the beauty of that is, and we always say this, if we do take the positions in here, it's fractal. Meaning that a small time frame setup in here can be applied to a much larger time frame as well. Like, is this going to turn into a flag pattern right here? I mean, this is a really nice impulse move here. Okay, so are we just seeing a pullback here, or are we rolling over and then going to come back and test back down to the 10 o'clock period here, or even go to lows of the day here? Okay, this we don't know. We'd have to kind of wait for more information in here to get that. Okay. So we can look at it. We can start to speculate on some things and look at the order flow in here. But for the purpose of the education in here, we're just going over these lower time frame examples because we can. Okay, so anyway, just need to mention that because it's a struggle here. I would love to cover more high time frame stuff. Yeah, see how this pause above the swing here, or we come up into these wicks up into this area here, these swings up in here. Okay, and right now, is it flagging? This is something to determine. If we see large buying coming in up in this area up in here around right now in the chart around 85, 86, if we see that and we see a shift and change in the order book as well, we've got something. Okay, but right now we just don't see that. Okay, so in fact, it looks like the sellers are going to hit down into that 82. There they go. Okay. Okay, maybe they can hit down into 80 as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the order flow in these areas in here. I mean, here's the big transaction up here, right, on the buy side at 84 or 85 up here. Okay, there's another one here, though, and we're just testing it right now. And we can look at other areas in here in the structure, too. The 80 looks pretty good as well. I like this this volume node here. Okay, on the buy side, into and through this liquidity, and then there's more liquidity here, right? So I would anticipate a bounce out of that area there, okay? And I would also anticipate a bounce to the upside down here around 80, due to the same circumstances. There was high liquidity on the bid here, on the offer here. It traded through it. Now they're on the bid. Okay, so here we go. Right, so this was what we were kind of outlining earlier for a higher time frame. Right, so is this turning into a flag pattern? We just traded into some liquidity here, so let's look for a pullback maybe, and then we can maybe set a limit order here. Okay, pull back into this area right in here after trading into liquidity. Okay, we may miss it. Maybe there's just more buyers in here willing to take it higher. And that does seem to be the case. All right. Yeah, so far, so good on the buy side, but now here we go, right? So are we getting those buyers at these higher areas in here? Not yet. See the selling cluster here, but this is something to take a look at in order flow that gets kind of interesting. Price, you hear about this in auction market theory and market profile. it's time and acceptance at areas. Even if there's sellers at an area, sellers aren't gaining traction to move the market lower. Okay, so this is where, like, if we see exhaustion up in here, we're looking for those sellers to take it back and take it back down. But if we accept up in here, if price accepts up into this area for a while, and even though there's more sellers, basically, and we just don't see them getting any traction. Okay, so we're filled there on our pullback here, and they're not gaining any traction up here. Then we're still looking for those buyers to curl back in and take it higher. Okay, so let's see. It's price is still going a little bit lower. The bid, see the bid in here? Bid still looks pretty good on this side. So they are bidding up in here. So that's a good sign. And willing buyers at higher areas in here in the heat map. Okay, it's not a whole lot, but it's showing that interest. Okay, and we want to see that. Okay, now we're just looking for more aggressive buyers to come in and lift the market back up into 88 here. Stop. I have just bracket. I didn't have the brackets on. We can put an OCO on here. And let's take a look. All right, so this is going to be a higher time frame, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at. So how are we going to put our stop in here and our take profit? Okay, so let's take a look at our candlestick chart in here and some of the swings that we talked about up here. So 95 maybe, so about 10 points. Okay, up here. And then now let's align that though with liquidity. Okay, so we see some here at 94, not so much at 95. So maybe 94 is a good area for our take profit up here. And we always like to front run by a tick or two. Okay, so and get out of the position. So all right, so let's put our take profit up there, and then we'll put our stop. Down here below this swing, but I may move it up to this swing here pretty quickly. All right. Okay, I want to give it some breathing room, but if I see heavy selling coming in, I will just probably exit Sorix. Okay, and it's not too clear, to be honest. This is nice. It's nice to see this buying in here, and like I said, the bid is showing some interest here, but the offer is now showing some interest as well. Okay, so these are sellers up in here in the heat map. Now the question is, what about the aggressors? Okay, so the context is we're showing here actually more supply, more limit sell orders here. Okay, the context that we want to understand though is, what about the aggressors, the buyers here, the green dots? Are they interested in transacting with these sellers here shown in the heat map? And it seems that they are. Okay, so let's see now if we can. We're back up to our 88 level. Now we're looking for follow through though. Okay, are we getting our follow through? Yes, so far so good. I'd like to see more on the bid here as well, and like to see these aggressors come in and charge up toward these areas of liquidity. Let's look at some other things in here and put some technicals together. Right now, we're going to ultimately it's going to be the order flow that will make our decisions in here. Okay, but we'll look at some other ideas in here. I always like using a measured move to just gain some sort of insight to where price might go. Okay, based off of the kind of flag pattern in here, well, maybe our target's a little too lofty here, you know, We base it off of this area up here, around this 95 area, and then because of the liquidity, we lowered it a little bit, okay, up to about here. Right now, if we look at this in terms of a measured move, and the measured move in here, why? I mean, you know, what's the kind of idea behind it? Is, well, how much gas is in the tank here for buyers before they kind of, you know, have to take a rest, and then for buyers to re-engage again. Okay, so this is the impulse move here, and then pullbacks as well. We can also look at pullbacks. So this is the pullback here. Okay, so where might the pullback occur? Okay, if it does. Okay, and how many points will it be? Okay, so here from 91 down to 88 or so. So, you know, about a 3-point move on the pullback. Okay, does that help you, Sorix? I think at this point here we can move our stop up. Okay, we're looking for, you know, clearing this area here. I think we're going to get a pullback after some of this liquidity here, but we'll see. And we're kind of meeting our measured move up here as well, right? So I'm going to move my stop up just below the swing here, and then we'll see what the reaction is of after trading into some of this liquidity. Yeah, I'm trailing it up, and you would as well. Yep. Oh yeah, thanks, Trading is Life. You put this in here, how to pop out the Discord. Yep, exactly. The chat. Okay, so we're going to get our pullback in here, guys, right? You know, we're anticipating it. So how deep is it going to go? Well, we're going to looking for probably back to about 87.5 here. Okay, we don't know, right? We never know. We're going to read the order flow in here, and right now, okay, we're hanging out up here, but I'm seeing more selling. I'm not seeing buyers up here right now. So I would anticipate them to trade it back down to 87 here. Okay, just based off of the order flow. Okay, so the question is then, you know, if you see that in the order flow, do you want to just flatten the position, right? Or do you want to hold it for a bigger move? Or do you want to, like, take, if you had multiple positions on, would you take some profit up here? I would be taking some off up here, because this is telling me something else right now, right? I'm seeing the behavior in here, right? That what I need to see them, these sellers or lack of buyers in here, I need to see these sellers in here gain some traction. So right now they're not really gaining traction. I see the selling coming in, but they're not gaining the traction yet, right? That's what we just talked about earlier, that it's just going sideways in here, right? There might be selling, but time and acceptance in an area means the same thing as the volume in essence, meaning that it is trading up here, and it doesn't matter if it's buying or selling. It is trading up here, and it's not moving, so it's accepting, right? It's kind of a you know, this is something I actually really like about the auction market theory, and not volume profile, but market profile, is the, you know, the TOPs or TPOs, and you know, your single volume nodes, or single nodes in the market profile. Okay, so yeah, the buyers got to do something here. Else, you know, that we see that exhaustion up in this area and some selling here. So again, you know, it's just based off of what we're looking at in here, trading into high liquidity. We look for always a bit of a pullback, and then we have the it actually traded through it and is accepting. Now here's our pullback, right? Okay. And it took a little while. It's on rather on cue though, and we're looking for, you know, with a measured move based off of this move here. It's about right, and we came like a tick away from it basically. Okay, so we got our pullback. Now are we going to get continuation back to the upside here, or is this where sellers start to come in and move the market? Okay, we're back up here again, and we're starting to see our buyers. Not actually. It was a little maybe jumping the gun there. I do not see any buying up here at 90 and a half. Let's see, Leah. How do we determine imbalance in Bookmap order book imbalance? Yeah, sure, I can explain this. And then let's see, Shark. Often see what you think is absorption, but there's no passive liquidity on the chart. It might be, you know, it might be an iceberg. Um, yeah, it's a little harder to without the you know, stops and icebergs. You're not really going to know. Um, the absorption, like you may see a big transaction like you know, into an area, but let's say by sellers here, but they fail to move the market lower, and you don't see high liquidity in the heat map here. It's likely an iceberg. Okay, let's see, can we move our stop up to this swing here, or this liquidity here? That's not a bad idea. The one thing I don't like about it is the high volume node here at 885 and a half. So if sellers do come in, we'll get stopped out and only have a couple ticks of a profit. But you know, a lot of traders will be gunning for this 85 and a half here, and then that's where you'll find your buyers potentially. Okay, we're going with the swings, not so much volume profile. We're going with not only swings, we're going with liquidity. So let's get back into that question. Shark will continue to go over absorption and exhaustion, but the imbalance here in the order book. Yeah, we have imbalance indicator up here. You can also look at your cumulative volume delta, but it's going to be more of a balance of or imbalance of buyers and sellers. So from the order book though, how can you gauge it? Well, you can take a look at it here in the heat map. Right now, there's high liquidity here at 87. You can also see it here at 90. or 91. And what's in between it here? So we're right in the middle right now. But I'm looking, see the skew here? See how there's a little more selling here? And then there's not quite as much here on the bid, right? And you can see the market, how the market reacts to that. That selling liquidity started to kind of inch in here. And we found some sellers actually. Okay, what was the reaction on the bid? Well, they kind of pulled it actually first in here, right? And this is how I gauge it all the time. Okay, so see that selling liquidity come in here. The question though is like, what is the reaction by the buyers? Doesn't matter. If we get aggressive buyers who want to trade into this area, it doesn't matter, right? And that's what we want. That's why it's two different things. It's about the liquidity as well as the aggressors. Okay, and there's two different types of supply and demand. One type of supply and demand is by the liquidity. Okay, that's pretty obvious. It's in the heat map, it's in the dome, it's in your level 2. They're providing liquidity. They want to trade up at specific levels, and that is supply up here. Like at 92, there's 186 contracts. Okay, this is supply. There's demand down here, 119 contracts, 120 at 87. Okay, so that's pretty clear, I think. And let me know if you have any questions on it. Happy to go through it in detail. But that is supply, and we want to understand that in here. And this is very forward-looking. Now we capture it and show it in the heat map, so you have a record of it, and you can start to look at and understand how it relates to some of this liquidity up in here. But it's, you know, it's happening right now here in the order book, and then you know, you see how price reacts to it immediately. Okay, this is about as forward-looking as you're ever going to get, in my opinion, by understanding the order book and order book imbalances. All right, so anyway, I'll show a few different things as well in the in Bookmap that we can look at order book imbalance. Okay, but that's one really good way of looking at it. You can right click in here, you can look at aggregate and kind of understand, you know, what's happening in the aggregate view of it, you know, how it might be skewed one way or another in certain areas. Okay, so here we go. Like here come our sellers now. They're likely going for this mean reversion. Okay, so we're just stopped out here. We got 3 ticks out of that. Okay, and we were anticipating that pullback, right? So now we got it, and then we see the buyers come back up in here, and then we get our exhaustion, and we fail, and we come back down. All right, so all of this, it sounds like, oh well, yeah, I have a reason for everything, but it's just order flow. It's just there was more sellers coming in, willing to trade into this liquidity, and maybe take it further as well. Maybe they'll take it down into 84, 83 down here. Okay. So anyway, getting back to supply and demand, what I'm trying to say is all here in Bookmap. You can see it here in the order book, or you can see it in the price structure, and you can also see it in the transactions. Right. So and it's really a composite view here of what you're looking at. This is like these dots in here are really very much like your time in sales. Okay, these are your bigger orders or bigger transactions taking place. These are the buyers, these are the sellers, right? And then oh God, what was I going to say? Okay, so and then your level 2 of your dome is here. In the COB column, it's also here in this window graphically with the heat map, but we plotted on the chart historically so that you can see it in context with the price structure. Okay, so the price structure is here in front of us. This is back and forth in here. Okay, this was uptrending, and then we went sideways. Now we may be starting a downtrend in here. just broke the low here, and but maybe it's a false breakdown, and we see buyers come back in and trade back up to here, 92 and further. Okay, back up to our 95. That's where our target was originally, or a little lower than 95, because yeah, somewhere around in here because of the liquidity. All right, so anyway, getting back to supply and demand. So if I take the volume dots off here, okay, so now we're just looking at best bid and offer. So streaming, pure price action. It's not aggregated at all. It is just best bid and offer streaming. So every little wiggle is shown here. You can zoom out, and it's not going to show. You'll see it as kind of clustered here, but anyway, the this is what creates the price structure. And there's the move that we were kind of looking for, and that's a nice little stop run too, up into this 92, yeah, 92 and a half. Okay, so anyway, now we're just looking at, we don't have the we only have the supply and demand from the resting orders here, the limit orders, okay, in the order book. So this is one type of supply and demand. Okay, supply above the market, demand below, and that's just how it is. Then there's also supply and demand of the aggressors. Okay, so if I just take off the heat map and show the volume dots, okay, well, how much supply or demand do the aggressors have? And this we don't know. They may just come in out of the blue and raise price just like they did in here. Okay, and we need to, what we do know, and looking back historically, is we can see that there was some exhaustion up here. There wasn't a whole lot of demand up here. There was more supply. How much supply do they have? Well, enough to come right back down into hit our stop down here, into liquidity though. We don't have liquidity on the chart. We just took it off. Okay, but did they have enough supply to trade lower into the POC here? They didn't. Right? We didn't find enough of the sellers to do that. Okay, we found buyers instead come back in. Okay, does that make sense? That it's still supply or demand in here. This is still demand. Okay, it's just the aggressive demand. Okay, what we're looking for is where the big transactions take place into, and what's this context here? So, for example, we just traded up into here, and we had a big stop run here of 354 contracts. Okay, is there still demand, or is this demand people just getting stopped out? Okay, so if it's people just getting stopped out, is that really truly demand? No, it might be just getting stopped out above the range, and then price can curl back into the range and trade lower. Okay, so this is why we really want to understand some of these areas in here of what's going on, right? So far we found there is more demand, and also another stop run into high liquidity here. Oh, thanks, Alois. Yeah, the imbalance indicator. There's another way of looking at imbalances. Leah, let me show you. This is actually part of the MBO bundle. There's the liquidity tracker, and it's part of the MBO bundle, and we also have Market Pulse to show you for imbalances. These are excellent tools. I'm really glad you brought the question up. Yeah, this is CVD down here in the blue line. All right, so let's go through it. And I'll add the liquidity tracker in here. Now there's two different kinds of liquidity trackers in here. You can see there's a free one and there's Liquidity Tracker Pro. The Liquidity Tracker Pro is the one that is part of the MBO bundle. And let me show you the difference here though of what it shows. It's what it will allow you to do is right here, order size filter. So you can filter out smaller contracts here. Right, you're only looking for larger players in here, okay, to really kind of skew the book. That's the difference. And you can see it just added 3 different lines in here to my subchart. Okay, so I have a liquidity tracker on the ask, on the bid, and then the difference, the delta. Okay, so I'll take CVD off for the moment, and I'll take also bid and ask off, and we'll just look at delta, okay, or difference. Right, so this again, it's very simple. It's just adding. If it's a positive number, you'll see it go up, and then if it's more liquidity on the offer, you'll start to see it go down. Okay, this is another way to take a look at it here, and there's also Market Pulse. Okay, so that's one more here to go through, and Market Pulse is it's sold as an add-on. It's not part of any package of Global or Global Plus with Bookmap. You do get a free version of price change, okay, that you will have access to. The other way to get it is just get the MBO bundle, and it's all included in there too. So the MBO bundle gives you quite a bit. You get a bundle of indicators that are for futures or market by order data, and takes advantage of that. And you also get the Market Pulse tool. Okay, so the Market Pulse tool will show the imbalance here. I really like it. I don't really demo it too much. I don't want to get too detailed and distracting people from understanding just the liquidity. Let me bring it up here. Pulse. I must oh, you know what, I think I was trying a new version, so I might have deleted it. So okay, we'll go to add-ons manager, scroll down, here's my Market Pulse. I'll install it and it's ready to use. Okay, so, and there's a whole host of indicators in here to take a look at. Okay, so this one here is showing you volume pressure, but we can look at order book imbalance. And order book imbalance here, or order book pressure. So you can look at both. Well, let's just add them all here. Oh, this is okay. That's correct. And we'll add one more. Okay, so the difference here between them all is so we've got the order book, I'm sorry, imbalance indicator up here is actually tied to one of the Market Pulse tools here. Okay, then we also have the this one here is like the order book pressure is showing both buy and sell. So passive sells, passive buys here. Okay, and then this one here is the same as this one, order book pressure, and it's just showing though the imbalance of them. Okay, so just want to show you the two different ones here, and then what they're showing or displaying. So I kind of like the imbalance one, just because it's one line or one output, so it's buy minus sell. Okay, because I'm looking for the imbalance anyway, so I care about the delta, the difference here. Okay, let's show it also here in the subchart, and we can take advantage of this here. And let me go back to right click on it, and I'll go back to settings. Okay, and it's showing in the subchart, but I want to add some more historical data in right here. Okay. Okay, so in here, let's go to settings again. You can see I have the setting in here of threshold of 70%. So it's showing here in the subchart, and you can see how the color changes is kind of gray or kind of pale red, but is darker red or vibrant red, saturated below 70%, or green above 70%. Okay, below negative 70% down here. Okay, so that'll show us these imbalances in where they're more extreme, and you'll also get an audio alert on that. Okay, so this is a great way, I love it, like, of looking back at this data here and matching it up with your chart. Okay, so this way you can start to look for very quickly, get a feel for how you want to use this tool. We had an imbalance here, and there was more selling coming in, but then a lot more buying coming in here. Okay, so at some of these extremes, this is where we can get maybe a good reading, a good understanding. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to get that imbalance now. I just heard it from the bid. Okay, so we're trading into, and here's our skew, right? So now we're alerted to the order book imbalance in here. Okay, is it a buying opportunity though? Okay, so I don't see the buyers coming in yet, right? But we traded into this liquidity here. Okay, so now if we do get buyers coming in, maybe up here around this 92 area, and then that might be an opportunity then. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. We can set an order on that. We can use our brackets here. Okay, this will be I held down the shift key and then left click here for a buy stop above the market. Or if you want to be go along with these guys in the order book in here, then you'd be looking to place your order down at this liquidity. Okay, so we're taking into the market, and are we seeing those buyers that we're looking for? Here's some here, but not really where we want to see them. Okay, and what are we looking for in here? Not much, maybe just a move back up to the top of the range in this liquidity up here. Okay, we're kind of more of a range bound trade here. Okay. Okay. We're up near our areas up in here. We're getting up, and this is our original target. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just a move to the top of the range then. Yeah, see how we had the order book, we have more order book pressure down here actually. All right, so we know that the imbalance in here, or we can see it right here, right? So now the question is though, like we know there's demand down here. We also know that it's transacting. Okay. Question is, do we have demand here by the buyers? Okay, and so far so good. After trading into this liquidity. Okay. Now more supply at a lower level here. Okay, at 60, 90, at 93 and a half here. Okay, so the question is, do buyers want to take on these sellers up here? Yeah, thanks, Alois. So there's the a link there for the market pulse. And we get to more of your questions here. Can I show the settings again, how your internet disconnected? Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm just using the default settings in here. And it's 10 seconds of a half-life period and 5 minutes of a training period. And then the half-life interval here this is 4 levels in the order book. Okay, and I'll explain all of these in here. So first one is the training period, which means it's based off of 5 minutes of data always. Okay, that's it. And then once another second over 5 minutes, comes into play here, it's the next is taken out of the equation. Okay, so it's a sliding 5 minute uh, piece of data here. The half-life is 10 seconds, meaning that let's suppose like I don't know, there's an imbalance in here of like 400 or something like that. Okay, and nothing changes in that order book. Nothing at all changes. It stays stagnant for over 10 seconds. For those 10 seconds, after those 10 seconds, it will be now not 400, it'll be 200. Okay, if another 10 seconds passes by and nothing changes in that order book, it's still 400, but the reading in market pulse is going to be now 200. All right, so that's how that works with the half-life period. Okay, the half-life price interval here is based off the levels. So the first 4 levels are counted as more important than the next 4 levels. Okay, half is, or 2 times more important than the next 4 levels. Okay, that way you still get this data up in here in the calculation, but it's not as important. All right. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. And then let's see, there's another question here. Okay. So yeah, I think yeah, you can watch it either on YouTube, but popping out the Big Papa, you need to pop out the chart or the it's if you scroll up a little bit, Trading is Life, showed it here. There's an arrow there pointing in the lower right hand side, and you can pop out the stream in Discord, and then you can access the chat. All right. Well, this isn't really going anywhere. It looks like sellers are trying to take, or they're still in control after this move here, right? So the buyers tried to make it through, but didn't succeed. So likely we're going to trade back down into this liquidity here at this 88 3/4. Okay, very likely. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, so we keep finding buyers though, like, move this back up quickly each time. But yeah, here we go. So here come the sellers, and then likely we're just going to get stopped out here. Okay, but we just traded into high liquidity here at this. There we go. Okay, so we get our move through, and looking for more sellers here, hit into this lower liquidity. Okay, and then probably POC at this point. Okay, or maybe down into kind of lower area here, 83, just because this is where it kind of rejected here. It's not a whole lot of trading back down here as compared to up in here. Okay, so not a whole lot of trading at like 83 compared to 85.5. All right, another thing to take a look at, here's some exhaustion again, and on the buy side. So if we don't get, yeah, I'm just gonna take a short. So here's what I'm thinking here, right? On the short side, we traded into high liquidity. We know sellers are kind of in control here, right? And we're looking for a move back to kind of POC here, or maybe a little bit lower here around 83 liquidity here. Okay, and this is that little low volume node down here, but this is likely the move here, 85.5. Okay, but we'll see. Now the idea in here for the short here is, okay, sellers, we have identified sellers taking control here. Buyers tried, they couldn't. We see a lower high and we don't see much buying at all. We see selling clusters. So we get the move down, and then we had a little pullback here, and that's where we're getting in, is kind of like on the pullback here. Okay, so there's the move down, and you can see that somewhere around in here, or this area in here, is where we're looking for a retest, and then we want to look at this more selling starting to come in, not buyers, to trade through that area. Okay, so that's our idea here, and then we're looking for the continuation in the trend here on the sell side. Okay, makes sense. Okay, now we just traded into high liquidity down here. I would anticipate a bit of a bounce here. Okay, the transaction took place here. Okay, 86 3/4 right there. Okay, if we get our pullback, there's lots of different ways to look at this as well. Like where are the buyers going to pull it back to? Okay, you can put in a trend line. You can look at horizontal areas. You can look at, I don't know, if you like looking at Fibonacci's, or I like to look at the swings in the heat map, okay, and the liquidity. And I want to understand the context of the pullback here into this area now. right? See the buyers trying to take control back again, right? But we're still in a downtrend. A small one, of course, but we are. Okay, we came down to this swing here that we were previously stopped out on here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is what probably should have, you know, taken some profit down here. I'm looking for I want to see the move to the POC here, but we didn't get it. But this is like, you know, something that I think Bookmap really shines here, is showing these areas of high liquidity in the heat map, and then the context around it. You know, like I kind of stuck with this because this was not a lot of buying. It was more selling in here. Okay, so but the transaction took place here. Okay, and after transacting into high liquidity, which is basically, we want to see if it's absorbed, if the buyers here absorb all that selling pressure. They didn't here. Okay, they traded through it. Okay, down here they traded through it a little bit here, but it's really pretty much absorbed. You know, they traded into this high liquidity, and they really couldn't get down into other areas of liquidity. So these are the buyers here, these are the sellers here. They met, right? And we can see the reaction after that. And that's what's, you know, this is what makes the market. So it's really, I don't know, I'm rather fascinated by it as well, just because like the transactions always take place in a downtrend. For example, the big transactions always take place at the lows. Okay, and then typically you don't see many transactions on the move back up. You get exhaustion here. So you get absorption here, you get exhaustion here, you get absorption here. Typically you get exhaustion here. Now this might be a reversal. The buyers might be coming in. Okay, we need to see, right? Definitely they took control in this time frame from here. Okay, and they are moving the market now, and they are above where that selling came in here. Okay, so now we're kind of back and forth in here, and now heavy selling coming back in. Okay, bid looks pretty good. Right, so looking for them to at least test down to here, you know, and test this liquidity here, because there's a lot. We found some supply by the aggressors. Question is, do they want to make the transactions here? Looks like it. Yep, see them selling at the lower end here, so they can push price a little bit lower. So there. Okay, so now it's tested it. Okay, so let's see now. Okay, there's still more selling. Okay, so looking for maybe 86.5. Okay, 86. What about our, yeah, okay, so we put our take profit down here. Got a low volume node, and we've got liquidity here. But we're really looking for the move to the high volume node here at like 85.5. Okay, this is kind of an interesting move. So buyers tried again here, sellers took it down, and look where they took it down. This is why these little areas in here are just so key. This is where the sellers came in here, buyers came in above it, and sellers came back in below it again. So this here in this time frame is a critical little area here, this 88.5. Okay, we need this kind of a battleground in here. Okay, so we'll see. what happens if buyers get back up there again. Let's take a look at our candlestick chart as well, or a higher time frame book map here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Trade back down to POC, maybe lower. Could get down. We need to see quite a bit of selling come in, but maybe back down into like 81 or even 74 down here. Looks pretty good. About our candlestick chart, and back to Trader Map Pro and our candlestick chart. All right, so yeah, I mean, this is what we were looking for earlier, and what's going to happen up in these little swings up in here, and we're getting our answer. Okay, we're finding some sellers. Okay, so yeah, looking for these sellers to trade it back down to 86 looks pretty good. And again, our POC is there at 85.5. Whoa, okay. So see again, like now this is like stop run and larger player, and we're filled on that. Right now, how do you get the POC on the chart? Yeah, just you'll need to open it up in your session range volume profile. You need to have this open here. Okay, now if you don't like it, you can minimize it by just left click, hold, and drag over here to maximize or minimize it. So it has to be a volume. Here, I'll show you. It's a volume column, and then it has to be session accumulated, right? And it will give you the POC for the data that is in that session. Okay? And it starts when you open up your book map. All right, so your POC might be different than mine if you open it up right now. And then once you've got it open here, then go to configure column and then show POC on the chart here. You got to click this box here, check this box. Okay. All right, so now did we get lucky on this? Maybe, and got filled here. Maybe. Our idea was to front run that high liquidity in here, and we had an idea as well, which I didn't think that this would happen. I thought we'd get to POC and find buyers, to be honest, because we've been seeing some buying pressure come in again and again. So I thought we'd just get to here and probably get a bounce, but they took it down here. Now this is I just think it's really kind of a cornerstone of trading. Did we get lucky on this? I mean, luck is a part of it. I mean, it's in my mind, it's like going to the craps table and rolling the dice. Okay. However, if you kind of study and I use craps as a example, you could be card counting. It doesn't matter, but you have an edge if you can count the cards. And you have an edge if you are rolling the dice and it's a 6 or an 8. That 7 comes up the most. Okay, so you're putting that a little bit of an edge in your favor. Poker maybe is a better example. Rondo, yeah, maybe so. But again, you have to have the edge, right? And you have to put that. Poker is probably a better example, but you have to put that into your plan. If you don't have an edge, then you just should not be trading. You have to have an edge somehow. Okay, so back test, find that edge, and then start to put your trade management around it. Okay, so now is this lucky here? On this, maybe, but we had an idea. Okay, it was at the end of this profile in here, and this is where a whole bulk of trading took place. So looking for rejection down here. Okay, so now look at this. Now we've got another thing, that your VWAP, if you're a VWAP trader, okay, well, you've got a whole bunch of things in here, kind of nice things. You got high liquidity, you got VWAP, right? You've got POC, and you've got a low volume kind of area in here. Okay, so if we can see buyers come in back up above it here, for example, maybe we're looking for buyers now to take it higher. Okay, and trade back into this area here. Okay, so the first stop would be the point of control, probably. Retest this area up here, which happens to be kind of a top of the range in here. So we can even just look for that to unfold. Okay, so we know larger players like to trade off of VWAP. We know a lot of other traders are trading off of VWAP. So we've got high liquidity in here as well. So we're trying to skew the to our side here, the edge, and then we just need to execute then, basically. Now again, we don't know, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about trading. All right, then do we get unlucky by getting stopped out right to the tick down here? Yeah, maybe. So we had an idea though, and it went through. It hit this liquidity. There was a little bit more supply to go through it. It hit us, and then we had a nice move to the upside, and it hit our original idea or our target up here. Right, so that's unlucky. Okay. And I think it's kind of important to then go back in here, like right now is trading back and retesting this VWAP. Okay, are we going to find now some buyers off of this in here? I'm still looking for them. We found some, okay, but not enough. Okay, now we traded again down here. We have VWAP, we have high liquidity in here. We're seeing more sellers though still, so likely they're going to trade back down into 80, and we're going to get stopped out here then, right? But we're going with high liquidity, VWAP, and we have a swing down here as well. Okay, and we're just looking for a move back to point of control. Let me see, any questions over here? I think I answered all your guys' questions. Yeah, Big Papa, they answered you regarding the chat. I explained this difference. Let's see, sound notifications, half-life. Yeah, the half-life in there is the same. It's so in your image here, Leah, you're showing order book and balance indicator, the one up here in the top right of the Bookmap chart. Okay, this is part of the Bookmap Global Plus add-ons package that comes free with it. Then the half-life in here is 10. Okay, there's a video that will explain this, and I can explain it though very quickly here. So you can limit the number of levels in here that you want to see, or show all levels in here. So you can input the numbers up here, as you can see, and then here half-life. What this means is for every 10 levels. Okay, so basically the first 10 levels will be equally weighted. The next 10 levels are going to be half the importance, or half the weight, compared to the first 10 levels. Okay, and that will repeat again and again. All right, guys, so now we're starting to find some of our buyers in here. It took a little while, and now the question is, can we get them back up above this little swing here. We've traded to the swing. Okay. And these are your mean reversion type of traders in here. We're kind of riding along with them, looking for a move to the POC here. Okay, and we're filled, right? Okay, so now this took a little while. I had to trade back down here again. We were in too early, now let's take a look at this and kind of back test this a little bit. So we'll look at this in just a second. We'll first start with our stop. Okay, how do you want to handle a stop? Well, was this just unlucky here, or do we want to like move our either our stop, it goes up higher, or do we want to move it down below the high liquidity by more than a couple ticks? Okay, we front run by a couple ticks for entries. I'm sorry, not for, maybe for entries, but for take profits. We front run high liquidity, and maybe for stop losses, we give it a little breathing room, like maybe a point below the high liquidity. Okay, that's something to take a look at and study. Go back, because then we would have been in that trade and our target would have been hit. All right, then another thing to take away from this move here. Now this is I'll show you on the Learning Center where you can go you can go over this strategy here. So go to Bookmap and then click on Education, Strategies and Setups, and you guys know the head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern here that we cover, and how they can be tricky. And you know, we're looking for selling exhaustion. We're looking for this kind of turnaround in here, volume and order flow shift. In here, we were in too early on this, just thinking that we had a few pieces and that was enough, right? It was a big downtrend. We had high liquidity. We traded into it, and we had VWAP, and starting looking for buyers up here, and so we jumped in. Okay, well, we got another retest back down here, tried a few more times, and then we get the move in here. Buyers did come in. Okay, so how can we avoid this in here? Well, this is what we'll do next time. We'll look for it, and we'll maybe put some market structure around this in here. Okay, so see how once it broke this trend line to the downside, and we also have the swings in here. Okay, so once it broke this little structure in here as well, and we started to find buyers here, that's where we got the move. Okay, so we can wait for that, and we can avoid any of this drawdown or it going against us here. Right, so just look for that flow and that shift and that change. Okay, and you'll probably avoid a lot of pain and frustration. Okay, so and then we can revisit these ideas that we just talked about with high liquidity and absorption. Okay, absorption, and then exhaustion. So do we get that heavy selling in here? Not really, okay, especially here, but then look at it here. Okay, now we don't know yet. Here it exhausts out. Maybe sellers just come in and hit the bid hard, right? But we're looking for some interest up here by the buy side, and we do have some, not a whole lot, but we have some. It's really kind of back and forth. It's kind of equal to the selling in here. But this is why we look for those clusters, this illustrates it pretty well. Okay, you look for these clusters of see how right in here we see some buying. On this one here, it's in a big downtrend. This exhaustion by buyers here, there might be some buying, but it's not much. So sellers just move it into lower liquidity. We see a cluster forming now. Okay, now they're trading into higher liquidity. Sellers trade into high liquidity down here, and we see more buyers in a bigger cluster, starting to break the structure, starting to make an equal high here. Okay, there may or may not be liquidity here, and there may or may not be liquidity here at a higher level as well. But we're looking for those aggressors to come in again. right? So this is what happened kind of here. Same idea, is that the on yeah. So selling, heavy selling, back little cluster. We're in a little too early. Okay, heavy selling again. Starting to see a cluster in here, but it's a little bit of a different form, right? And then we have our exhaustion down here. We don't see higher liquidity. We have exhaustion instead. And then we're looking for those buyers up in here, okay, to take it, right? And then they do show up and trade it back to the mean. They trade a little bit through the mean into high liquidity up here and the swing up here, right? So this I can provide the replay file for you guys later today if you want. You can take a look at this. You can review it. You can replay it in replay mode and go through this and start to draw conclusions from it and put it into a process in your trading plan. Okay, I think it would be good thing, helpful for you. All right. All right, guys, so we got to end the webinar here. Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll do it tomorrow, same time, at 10 Eastern. We'll connect with you then. Don't forget, also, we have the onboarding webinar tomorrow. And if you're interested in the Bookmap Academy, come on over. Please hit the like button if you like this. We want to give you guys good content, something that you can use for your trading. That's why we're here. All right. So hit the like button. Come on over to our Discord channel, and it's free. There's no cost to it. So enjoy it and dive into that community, and you'll get a lot more out of it. That's for sure. We have a great community. Thanks, everybody. Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.